Hello everybody! Today's video is going to be a quarterly check-in on my reading statistics and my goals for the year to see if I need to course correct or what progress I've made towards my goals and such. So let's take a look at what I have been doing. In the first 9 months of 2019, I have read 198 things. 152 were books, 13 were novellas, and 33 were comics, graphic novels, or manga. I don't think that this breakdown is very different from my previous updates, except that I think that comics has gone up considerably, and I'm a bit surprised that I haven't been reading more novellas. Not really sure why that is. 81 of those things were written by male authors, 105 were written by women, and 12 were by both or a mix, and those were usually creative teams for comics. My most read genres for the year so far are science fiction, 26.5%, fantasy, 17%, nonfiction, 10.5%, poetry, 7%, middle grade, 6.5%, and collections, 6%. I've also read 5% or less of anthologies, classics, plays, historical fiction, literary fiction, humor, mainstream or contemporary fiction, mystery, romance, and young adult. This isn't much changed from earlier in the year, except that I've continued to read poetry at a much more consistent rate than I would have predicted earlier in the year. That is the big surprise of this year so far for me. And nonfiction has finally moved into my top 5 most read genres. I started off this year not really interested in reading nonfiction, but I've suddenly really gotten into it and I've been reading a lot of nonfiction, mainly audiobooking it in the latter half of the year. As to the sources of what I read, I do this breakdown between things that I paid for, that I own, and things that I got for free through other sources. So 50%, like exactly 50% of what I read in the first 9 months of the year I owned, and the other 50% came from the usual mix of library resources and even borrowing books from other people. When I say library resources, I mean like physical books that I went into a library and I got them there, but I also mean all the ebooks and audiobooks and comics that I got through services that I actually have access to through a library. Those are things like Overdrive, Hoopla, RB Digital, and Axios. I think there are even more than that I have access to, but those are the 4 that I've used so far this year, and I do count those as kind of free library sources. Oh, also Interlibrary Loan. I have been using that service as well through the library. It continues to confound me that even when I am super focused on reading what I own, I have never managed to really move the needle one way or the other on reading more of what I own or even less of it than what I read from free resources. It is always this almost exact 50-50 split. I don't know why. I really don't. I kind of have this feeling that I've been reading a lot of novels, a lot of books that I own, but I've been using the library for a lot of shorter, quicker reads like comics and of course all of those audiobooks. And those are really different things that take different amounts of time and different types of time out of my day to read. So I kind of think that I set aside a chunk of my reading time for the physical books, for what I own, and then I fill all these other little cracks with things from the library, and that's a surprising amount of reading. 12.5% of what I read has been translated. This percentage has continued to go up slowly throughout the year, which makes me very happy, even though it's not a current goal of mine to maintain a 10% translation rate like it has been in previous years. I've still been meeting that. So I like this. Only 7% of what I've read has been rereads, however. I'm a little bit sad about that. I hope that I'll do a bit more rereading by the end of the year. That is a quick look at my reading statistics so far. Now let's move on to my 5 goals for the year and whether I have achieved them or not. My first goal was to make quarterly updates and statistics videos like this one, and to make more than 14 review videos in the year to kind of beat the number of review videos I made in the previous year. This goal is basically met. This is my third update. I know I'll be doing the last end of the year one, and as of filming this, I've done exactly 14 review videos so far this year, and my 15th one might even be up before this video goes up, so this goal is done. The second goal is the biggie. It's to cut my book buying budget in half, staying within $750 for the year. That number, $750, is almost exactly half what I spent on books in 2018. Right now, I have spent $732.46 on books, with only $17.54 remaining as of the day I'm filming this. I could buy 1 or 2 more books in the year with that money, but I am trying to hold off right now. Theoretically, it shouldn't be that difficult for me to not buy more books for the rest of the year. I've already pre-ordered and paid for the books for October that I wanted to buy. I'll have to be really good in November, and in December, I don't usually buy books for myself anyway because those things go on my Christmas wish list. It will be really hard to abstain from buying books during like the Black Friday sales and stuff though. That's the only thing I'm really worried about. In case you're curious about my book acquisition so far this year, I have bought 81 books. 77 were physical books, 3 were ebooks, and 1 was an audiobook. And as of right now, I've read 59 or 73% of all the books I've bought this year. I've DNF'd 1 and I have 21 left to read. The really big difference in my book buying this year has actually been that I have almost not been buying ebooks. In previous years, I bought a lot of ebooks, I picked up a lot of free ebooks, I picked up a lot of them on sales, and then I never read them. And I think that one of the reasons that I've been doing so well at reading what I have acquired so far this year is that I have been avoiding ebooks. And the 3 that I've paid for, I read within days of getting them, and that it makes a world of difference, I think. And my third goal is to reduce my physical TBR to 50 books. I started out at approximately 98 books on my physical TBR, and of course I added in 77 more physical books throughout the year. So I'm very happy to say that I've continued to slowly whittle down this number. At the end of the second quarter of the year, my physical TBR had 61 books on it. Then I acquired a crap ton of stuff in August and September, and yet at the end of September, I still had that number down to 58. Not a significant drop, but that meant I read like 20 things. So I am very happy with this, and I'm currently I'm just really pushing to get down to 50 books by the end of October. All I have to do is read 8 of my own books in the month. Like, that's totally achievable. It's just, can I stay on track or not? Mainly, I've been getting rid of books and been moving them off of my physical TBR, as you would expect, by reading them. However, I have been DNFing books, and I have been getting rid of some unread when I realized I was just not interested in them anymore. So far this year, I have DNF'd or just gotten rid of 14 unread books from my physical TBR, which is kind of a surprising number. I thought that I had really gotten rid of everything I wasn't interested in anymore by the end of 2018, and yet I've still found more that I'm just not thrilled about. So yeah, it helps get that number down, but not as much as I thought it had actually when I went and looked up my statistics. My fourth goal is the only one that I am actually failing at, and that is to read 4 magazine issues per month, plus 2 to 3 stories from other websites or publication venues. I haven't been doing this at all. I have, however, been reading a lot of short fiction. I've just been reading short stories in collections and anthologies. Not magazine issues, not the subscriptions that I've been paying for. I don't really know why this is. I want to read short fiction. I enjoy reading stories. I enjoy talking about them. It's something I would really like to bring back to my channel and to make videos about again. It just isn't happening. And at this point, I kind of want to make this my only goal for next year or something, because it's not happening and I really want to make it happen. And my last goal was already achieved by the time I did my previous update video, and that was to finish my Clark Award project. This is done. I read all of the books. I did my last batch wrap up. The only thing that I actually need to do, the very last video I need to make for this project, is to film my favorite books, my favorite winners of the Clark Award. And I haven't filmed that yet because I made my list. It's ready to go. But then I thought to myself, all of these things are some of the major ones I hadn't read in like 4 or 5 years, and I kind of want to reread them before I make that video. On the other hand, I should probably just make it and be done with it, and probably no one really cares either way I choose to do it, so we'll see. I should just get it done. And that is it for my statistics and my goal updates. I've pretty much achieved 4 of my 5 goals, and the one that I'm not achieving, I'm not worrying about too much. I'm just trying to plan what to do about it next year, I suppose. So I feel like I'm in good shape. So let me know how your reading is going so far this year. Are you achieving your goals? Did you set goals at all? Leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this is kind of interesting to some of you. And I will talk to you again in my next video, and until then, bye.